Hello, relatives. Happy Friday. Welcome to another week of emotional sobriety. I am Xavier Smart, community healer and counselor here at HIR Wellness. I am just getting our smudge ready so that we can begin, just to bring conversation about healing, what that needs to look like for us during this time. And with us, as always, we have John. Typically, there's three of us. But Jamie, her energy is being pulled in another direction today. So we're sending her lots of love, lots of light today. All right. Let's get our smudge ready. Sending you all some smudge, relatives, as we come into this space. Glasses back on. Welcome, relatives. Again, happy Friday. We made it to the end of the week. Yes. So with that, again, welcome to Emotional Sobriety. I am Xavier, our community healer, one of our community healer and counselors here at HIR Wellness Institute. We are so happy to be here with you all every Friday, coming together to just be in space, be in community as we talk about emotional sobriety, what that looks like, right? Those of us that are walking the red road, walking in recovery, and how we can continue to just stay grounded during these times of COVID and the pandemic, right? But before we dive into anything, we'll do a check-in with John, right? And just see how things are going. So, John, how are you today?
Yeah, thank you so much, Xavier. I'm actually doing really well on this Friday. And thank you again, relatives, for always joining us. And, I will be moderating for every single emotional sobriety. So feel free to comment in the section, and me and Xavier will always, acknowledge you and kind of have conversations. So feel free to kind of share with us. And along the way, if there's any coping skills that you use, feel free to kind of let us know, because anyone else who may be watching this on Facebook Live could also benefit from that too. So it's just sharing what works for you. We know that, everyone has their different coping skills. So we just kind of encourage that everyone kind of share what they use, and, hopefully someone can kind of learn from that. Even we can learn from that.
Mm.
And then again, I am a social work intern. I participate in a lot of different spaces. I am a part of the Thursday group, Survivors of Suicide private Zoom group, just providing space for any individual who may have lost a loved one or someone who they knew by suicide, or maybe experiencing any suicidal thoughts or ideations. It is a private Zoom group. And then I also help moderate for Friday morning for Malia's R&R every Friday. And then also do counseling, and also have a Wednesday Children's Fire Book Club that I also help moderate and also be a part of. So I am involved in a lot of different spaces. And again, just thank you so much for everyone who joins us every Friday for emotional sobriety. Thank you, Xavier.
Thank you so much, John, for bringing your voice and your energy into the space. You are John has really been, just very helpful, very impactful here at HIR Wellness, and leaning into a lot of different spaces. So, he definitely brings his joy, his spirit, his healing energy into those spaces, and we're so grateful to I'm grateful to be a part of his internship journey and to see the growth. So just appreciate you, John, for being here, holding the space for our relatives, and just continuing to lean into a lot of the unknown, right, as well as your own healing and holding space for our relatives. So thank you. Um, so with that, relatives, for those of you that are new, welcome. This is Emotional Sobriety, where we come together again each and every Friday to just talk about, reflect on how we can maintain sobriety, emotional sobriety during COVID-19. So, what we're doing on these Facebook Lives is essentially modeling what a private Zoom group would look like, right? So it is our hope that there are enough of you out there, relatives, that are taking liking to this group and saying like, hey, yeah, I want to dive a little bit deeper. I want to explore a little bit deeper. And we're able to provide that space for you. Again, that'll be a private Zoom group, so it won't be live or anything like that. So I just wanted to put that out there, right? So those of you that are welcome, that those of you that are new, welcome. Those of you that continue to be with us each and every Friday, welcome. We're so happy that you could be with us, um, for another week. So before we dive into our book, we always like to again set the stage, set the foundation, get us grounded. And we do that by smudging. We do that by also bringing in elders meditation. And we love bringing in the voices of our elders, right? As they have all the wisdom and the knowledge that we need to help keep us on the walking the right path, right? So with that, I would like if John, if you're able to bring that meditation into this space for us today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Xavier. I would love to. And just relatives, just so you know, I will be posting the elders meditation into the comment section of our Facebook Live as well, just so that way you can follow along as I read it. And then, if you're seeing this afterwards, you can also follow along as well. So just give me 1 second. I will post it into the comment section and then we can kind of begin. All right, so for the elders meditation for today, April 2nd, it states, with children, we always have to think about 7 generations to come, but yet unborn. And that's from Janice, Sundown, Hatted on Seneca. What we do today will affect the children 7 generations from now. How we treat the Mother Earth will affect the children yet to be born. If we poison the water today, our children's children will be affected by the decision we made. Our children are the gateway to the future. Let us conscientiously think about the children and the 7 generations to come. My Creator, I thank you for my ancestors 7 generations ago.
Thank you so much, John, for reading that meditation and bringing that into the space. That was just absolutely beautiful. Um, and as I have it here on my screen too, so I'm just reading it and reflecting on it. And it's just absolutely beautiful. Being able to bring the energy, right, of the children into this space as well, right? We're here at HIR Wellness, we're all about intergenerational healing, right? What that can look like, and that's being able to heal from the little tiniest babies up into all of our elders, right? And navigating the pain and the hurt and the worry that can be passed down from generation to generation. So I just love that, this meditation is bringing that into this space and saying, hey, we have to remember to move in a way that is supportive, that will uplift the next generations that are coming up after us, right? And here at HIR Wellness, we're governed by the children's fire, right? So what that means is being able to take into consideration to remember that the children are at the core of all our decisions, right? That what we are doing are in the best interests of the kids, of the children, and that we are also keeping in mind and upholding the feminine, right? And what that needs to be as well, and that nurturing energy, right? That energy of of being able to care for the collective. So I'm grateful that, you know, this meditation was brought into the space, you know, from an elder, right? And you know, it's so important that we continue to keep, just remember to keep that in the back of our minds, right? With every decision that we make, keeping that in our minds. Will this benefit, you know, my children's children, right, and their children's children, right? What do we want their futures to look like? Do we want them to, you know, go through the same struggles or the same problems that we have gone through, or do we want them to be in a world, a generation where they can, um, you know, they'll have their own set of problems, but we want to make it a little bit easier for them, right, to navigate and step into healing, and where healing is something that is, you know, it's normal, right? It's talked about, it's normalized, and it's embraced with open arms. So I'm grateful again for this meditation. Just absolutely beautiful. I'm curious, John, what stood out to you from that meditation?
And thank you so much, Xavier. I love this because it really helps us think about, beyond us, think about our future, and just helps us really think about, what do we want for our future generations. So instead of being just all about what do I want in this moment, being aware of that and being, thinking more, you know, just being more aware of what do you want for the world, for the next generation, for your nieces, grandkids, children's children, about just the world within the next, you know, decade or so. And I just love that because it really helps you focus on the bigger picture instead of just what do you want. And when I think about that, I also think about like COVID right now, especially for people, who are just thinking about themselves. Think about the future. Think about what do you want for your children's children, and just doing what is right instead of just because it's your right of not wearing a mask. Just think more beyond that. And I just love this because it just really helps me think about the COVID pandemic right now of just thinking more as a community instead of individualism. And I know that it's hard because of the American society, of just being raised to think about yourself and competing against the next person, and that we don't have these communal way of thinking anymore. So I just really like this because it's just that reminder that it's more than just us. It's about the next generation, next 7 generation, and what we do now can, make it a little bit easier. Even though you may not believe that it makes it easier, it does make it a little bit easier every time you think about doing something in a way to help out the future.
Thank you, John. Such beautiful words. Before I go any further, are there any comments or anything about the meditation?
No comment so far.
Okay, okay. Yeah, you know, I everything that you were saying was, you know, I resonate with that, you know, just this aspect of being able to remember and tap back into those indigenous teachings of collectivism, right? And what it truly means to be in community with one another, um, and how important it is, right? If we remember to, uh, you know, just do things with the thought of, will this benefit the good of all, right? And how just impactful that can be on ourselves as well as the community, right? You know, it's about finding a balance of how can I take care of myself, but also, you know, is what I'm doing, are the things that I'm doing to take care of myself, will this also benefit the good of all, right? And I think that's often where the battle is, or, you know, not sure what to call it, but, you know, there's that misconnection of, you know, Western Western ways, right, of individualism, um, can often seem selfish, right, and not thought about the community. But I think, as if we can bridge, the two together, and understand that there has to be that balance, right? That we have to learn to find that balance of how can we take care of ourselves in a way that um, takes care of ourselves and our spirits, but also takes care of the community. So, again, just very, very important to keep that in mind, and going forward as we continue to just, live our everyday lives, and maneuver our healing, and whatever else it is that we're doing in this world. So yeah, such a wonderful, wonderful meditation to get us started today. So relatives, after we go through our meditation, and reflect on it, bring our energy, spirits, right, we like to take the time out to go through our workbook, our wonderful, wonderful workbook that's been getting us through these past few months, and I won't even say weeks, right, past few months of our emotional sobriety lives with everyone. And the book that we use is Maintaining, oh, my background, there it goes, Maintaining Emotional Sobriety During COVID-19, Transforming Trauma into Post-Traumatic Growth. We're all about the growth, right? By Tion Dayton. And again, this workbook has really been, helpful in just walking us through a lot of different things, right, on how we can create safety for ourselves during this time, how we can put this time in a box, as you see John and myself in a box, right? Think of this time as really being, in, I guess, in Zoom, right? We're zooming through COVID, we're all in our boxes. And how can we remember that this is, a time and a period where things will get better, that this time and period won't last forever, that there will be normalcy again, but a new normal, and that it's okay, right? Um, and each week we've gotten the opportunity again to just reflect on a lot of different feelings that have come come up due to this recent pandemic. We're a year in, right? So that we've talked about and explored a lot of emotions that have come up, from depression, from anger, to fear, anxiety, right? And what that looks like, how we can navigate that during this time. Um, and this week we'll be taking the time to go through another emotion that has that we all experience, right? That may have come up for us during this time of COVID-19, and um, that emotion, I guess we could say this week we'll be exploring hidden grief, right? So grief that is hidden. It's hidden. Where does it come from, right? So with that, I'll just go into, reading these little reading through this, and we'll do some reflection pieces, and just have a conversation around, hidden grief and what that looks like. The past few weeks we've also kind of been doing, some of these chapters have been requiring like series, so I think this one will be another one where we'll have to do part 2 or part 3 to this one as well. And hoping Jamie can be with us in the future, because I would love to hear her perspective and her insight as always. Jamie, if you're watching, we do miss you, and we can't wait until you're back with us. So with that, I will go ahead and I will go through reading this. So let's get to it, relatives. So hidden grief gets triggered during COVID-19 confinement. If you're feeling waves of sadness, anger, yearning, or dislocation, where has my life gone? Don't worry, it's normal. There are strange times. These are strange times, and you are bound to feel that strangeness in a variety of ways. The idea is to feel these feelings and move through them so that you can get to the other side. Let them take their natural course. They won't last as long as you. may think they will. Some sensations of depression can be caused by what we don't feel as much as what we do feel. When we foreclose on our inner world starts to foreclose on us. We feel shut down inside, processing slash feeling emotion without acting out. Going numb or self-medicating is healing. We bring split of off parts of ourselves back into ourselves. And when we get to the other side, chances are you'll feel lighter and more integrated. So I just want to pause before going any further, right? What stood out to me in that whole thing, right? It's just this idea of um again, what we're feeling, if all the feelings that have came up due to COVID-19 are completely normal, right? This feeling of you're feeling waves of sadness, waves of anger, waves of, what is going on? What am I experiencing? All of that has been normal over the past year. And, I think that is just so important to highlight. And also being able to understand that, you know, feel through whatever it is that you're feeling, and know that those feelings won't last as long as you think they will, right? That, again, very, very temporary um time that we're experiencing. And again, let those feel through those feelings, as uncomfortable as they may feel. Give yourself permission to feel through them, right? You may still be feeling some of the same emotions you were experiencing a year ago, right? Because we may not be in the space that you thought we would be in, but there has been a lot of change, a lot of growth, in a direction of new normalcy, right? So just continuing to keep that in mind. So John, was there anything that stood out to you in that first little reading?
Yeah, I too agree with about how it's normal to feel all these emotions, especially during this time. Because I know that this pandemic and all these restrictions and just everything changed like just so quickly, and it's hard to adjust to this way because just the day before you're living differently, and then the next day there's all of these restrictions now. So it's definitely normal to have these feelings of sadness, anger, and dislocation, and everything else that you're feeling at that time. And even still now, some people, may still be experiencing that. But also just understanding that things will get better. And if you really look at it now, from a year ago till now, there has been some progress. And for me personally, I am feeling a lot more hopeful. This time around, I know that it's been like a year now, over a year now, but this year I'm starting to see a lot more hope, especially with people getting more vaccine and everything like that. And the cases are starting to go down in some areas. I know that it's starting to spike up a little bit too, but also just kind of looking at the progress that we've made. And also, if you really think about it, what are some good things that COVID have? What has COVID brought to you that was positive? And when I just think about that, I try to kind of just rethink and just kind of reshape the way how I think, instead of looking at grief and trying to find something to feel bad or feel down about. I try to think about what has COVID brought to me that I didn't have before. You know, like for me, I know that I started communicating more with certain people who I didn't communicate with before, which was definitely a huge plus on my end. Because for me, it really just kind of slowed things down to really allow you to really think about, like, wow, I need to reach out to my loved ones. Life was so busy before, I didn't have the chance. And COVID isn't a great situation, but it gives me this opportunity to slow down enough to reach out to loved ones and be in communication. So I try to turn that sadness and reshape it. What good has come from it? And it's definitely hard, especially for some people where they may not have as much support. And that's why we're here. Also for her wellness, we have our care form line. You can always reach out to us if you're needing any form of support and stuff like that. And it's normal to have these grief, especially during this time. So thank you so much, Xavier. And I'll also put down the CARES form line number relatives for anyone who may be needing any extra support. Feel free to call. It's not a crisis line. So if you do call, someone will usually get back to you within 24 hours. If it is something that is a crisis, make sure you do call 911 or the appropriate number. And I will put that down, our CARES form line number.
Oh, thank you so much, John, for sharing,
Mhm.
bringing your voice into the space. I think that's so important to highlight that, right? That this time has really allowed us to slow down, which, yes, it caused so many uncomfortable feelings because you're like, oh my gosh, what is this? I'm not used to that. But it's also allowed for us to lean into some behaviors of looking at what positive outcomes came out of this, right? More communication with family, loved ones on a deeper level, right? Rather than surface level. Maybe you're really getting to know your family, maybe you're really getting to know your friends on a level that you've never gotten the chance and opportunity to, because everyone's been so fast paced. So I just love that you were able to bring that and share that with us, John. Thank you. So moving forward, right, with our readings, and our conversation about grief, right? So if if there is hidden unprocessed grief, however, if you are getting stuck in emotions like depression, anxiety, or chronic anger or rage, if you can't shake them, if they send you down a rabbit hole, you might be experiencing some old grief that is getting triggered by your current loss of normal. Our sense of loss during the current COVID-19 crisis can trigger hidden emotions from when we experienced loss before. Whatever early losses you have had in your life, they are likely to have left an unconscious residue on your mind, an unseen wound that at moments like this can become sensitive under the pressure of the current crisis. Because of the sudden, frightening, and uncontrollable event that we're going through, we may re-experience when we felt blindsided by life before, or when we felt helpless, trapped, scared, and unsafe. This can turn into a moment that throws you down a hole, or an opportunity to heal these sore spots, to take another look at them, feel them, and understand their impact on your life and your inner world. Virtually anything that triggers the kind of old pain that we have pushed out of consciousness or numbed can be a gift in disguise. So yeah, so that really got to the meat of things, right? The thick of things, and informing us what that hidden grief is, what that looks like, right? And again, if though there may be emotions right now that many of us are experiencing it, right? And you can't shake it, and you're like, I don't know what this is. Like, yes, again, we're in a state of um change, this shift that has happened abruptly, right? And how that can trigger something within us, that brings up an old wound that we haven't had the opportunity to heal from, or taking that opportunity to digest, right? So going in the next week, or going forward with this conversation, we'll talk more about different types of hidden grief, and you know what we can do when we are aware of that hidden grief, right? There's two choices we can make, and we'll talk more about that. But today we really just wanted to build the conversation around what unconscious grief looks like, what that is, right? And um how that can manifest, where it can come from. So again, this idea of things that are just kind of, you're stuck in these emotions that you're like, I don't know where this is coming from, and how that can impact you. So for myself, I can speak for myself in terms of I've been really struggling with some anxiety, right? And there's been a lot of recent changes and shifts in my life, from graduating, right, and just all these different things, and it's been difficult, and there's been just a this anxiousness and unsettling feeling that I've been feeling just all in my chest and my stomach area, right? And I'm like, I have no idea why I'm feeling this, right? I do my deep breathing, I meditate, I do all these things, and they work, they work, right? But ultimately, they're in talking with um, loved ones, and talking with my support system, right? I was able to dive a little bit deeper. And with that, there was some hidden grief, right? That, because of the current state that I'm in, right? I'm not in school anymore, right? I'm in a state of, things are just kind of smooth, right? And that threw me way off. My body was like, whoa, what is this? What are we doing? Like, why are we not in school? Why are we not in class? Why are we not doing assignments? Why are we not stressing about assignments? Right. So it really, took a toll on my body. And I hadn't realized that until I was able to have a conversation with again, my support system, and they were able to help me uncover, like, hey, there might be some stuff there a little bit deeper that you have to lean into, and embrace. And again, um we have that choice, whether we want to embrace it, or whether we just kind of want to let it fester, and deal with it, whenever we feel like the time is right. So that's kind of just my example of some unprocessed and hidden grief that I've recently, right, and this is recently, like earlier this month. Oh, we just started a new month. So earlier, last month, the end of last month, right, that I began to realize, and see, like, I'm experiencing this anxiety, and it's I have no idea what's going on, because everything is so good right now. And again, wounds have a way of surfacing for us, right? And I have that belief that our body talks to us, and lets us know, like, hey, there's something here, we need to either dive deeper in, or you need to pay attention to me. So I just love that we're able to again talk about hidden grief, and talk about the fact that you know that our wounds, if they aren't addressed, right, that they surface at some point, right? So it's almost like putting band-aid over band-aid over band-aid, right, and hoping that it doesn't bleed through, but eventually it does, right? And as you begin to just peel it back, right, you get to the core of it, and you see, like, oh, this is really what's going on, right? And I think that's so important. So I love that this is even a chapter in the book, right? Being able to uncover and really dive deep into unhidden grief. So John, I'll turn it over to you to bring your voice into this space. What stood out to you from that? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, thank you, Xavier. And when I think of like the griefs, stuff like that, for me, I know that at the end of like 2020, beginning of 2021, I was like, I don't know, I'm feeling depressed. We're starting to feel, just down and not wanting to do anything, or just feeling sad. And then I really thought about it, and it's just like, there's so many people who died from COVID, and just the loss that we've had just throughout the year and stuff like that really made me feel depressed. And it also brought up a lot of just people in my lives who, have passed away and stuff like that. So it really hit me where I'm just like, I didn't even know I was processing it that deep until I really looked into it. And I'm just like, wow, the loss of COVID really brought up a lot of these hidden grief of just people who I've lost throughout the year. And especially for me, one of my old friend who she passed away at the end of 2019. And then I was like, well, why am I feeling this at the end of 2020 and beginning of 2021? And then as I really dug deep, I was like, I think it might have been, just the 2020 as a overall general, just the death just really brought me back to one of my friend who she passed away from in 2019 by suicide. And it just really brought me back to all of that. And I just couldn't really figure out why until I really understood that. And once I understood that, I really used coping skills for me. I love my guided meditation, just helping me ground myself because it's so hard. And just finding a coping skill that really helps you, especially during this time of need, and just being gentle to yourself. So that was one thing that, I didn't even realize about it until I started digging deep into, well, I know it was just sadness and depression from the COVID losses. And then as I really thought about it, it really triggered me to think back about other losses in my life. So yeah, definitely used guided meditation, really helping me out, especially during that time of just not feeling good and just really feeling down and feeling like I don't want to get out of bed. I'm low on energy. I just don't want to get out of bed, and I don't really know why.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing, John.
yeah,
Again, relatives, that hidden grief, that grief, it's there, right? It's something that we've all experienced, right? We all go through our journeys experiencing a lot of different pain, a lot of different experiences, and oftentimes we may not be given the opportunity to honor what we're feeling, honor the pain, honor the hurt, and we sometimes just move on. And we're like, I'll deal with it later, right? And then something else happens, right? And something else happens, and then you find yourself in moments where you're you're like, why am I still, like, what's going on? Like, yeah, that was sad, or yeah, this was painful experience, but why am I still, you know in this space of just really not being able to shake it, right? And again, it could be that there's a deeper wound there that needs that nurturing, that needs that care. And sometimes it can be scary to get there. And as always, right, healing is a lifelong journey, so there's no need to rush, there's no need to dive full face into everything, right? For myself, that's something that I'm learning to slow down. Look, you don't have to uncover all wounds at once, you don't have to dive into everything at once, right? Slow down and then allow ourselves to feel what we need to feel, because that's equally as important as healing and working through it, right? We have to honor what we're feeling, so that when the times comes, that we know what we can do to release it and heal from it, and get to a space of, okay, I'm better now, right? And then we have those tools, we have those people that we can lean on and that can support us in a way that is amazing, and keeping us on the path of being in um our truest and highest self and spirit. And and another thing with hidden grief too is that the the I guess the ways we deal with it, right? We often know under we often may not realize it, that can impact as well, right? That, you know, that sadness, right? That hurt, that pain that you're feeling, you may deal with it in a way that, you know, I am going to self-medicate, right? For some of us that are walking the red road, that are, you know, walking in recovery, we, you know, many of us have maybe tried to stop, right? Um and have gotten to a point where, you know, I you know, I tried, but then I started up again. I tried and then I started up again. And you know, that I just want to say that is completely normal. That is okay. If, you know, you find that you're walking in recovery and you have moments where you know, do decide to, or, you know, you have those moments where you gravitate towards that drug of choice, that um whatever that is of choice, it's okay. But understanding that, you know, as you continue to walk in recovery, walk the red road, that it'll get easier, right? That as you begin to peel back the layers, Jamie often talks about being an onion. I can't explain it as well as she does, but she often talks about peeling an onion and peeling back those layers. And from that, again, that can really help us. If we are walking recovery, that can help us to, you know, put that substance away or stop that substance for, you know, for good, in the way that we need. So, you know, again, hidden grief, it runs so deep, the grief, yeah, it just runs so deep. So I'll continue going, before, I don't want to jump ahead, with the thoughts that are going in my head, right? Because I feel like this is such a good conversation, as always. And you know, there's, we'll just, let's get through it. We're almost there at the end. So, you know, I just want to read this, and then we'll just continue our conversation and wrap up from there. So, we refer to these types of ambiguous or unacknowledged, unrecognized losses as disenfranchised losses. Disenfranchised losses that have remained hidden can get triggered and reemerge without our knowing what is happening. The emotions that you experienced related to that earlier loss will very possibly reemerge at a moment like this, giving them the opportunity to be more fully felt, seen, accepted, understood, and hence further resolved. Some examples of disenfranchised losses are loss of a connection to self due to trauma, the grief of the inner child who was neglected or outwardly abused by parents and now lives inside of the adult, divorce, abandonment, visitation, changes related to divorce. We have socially stigmatized death, suicide, AIDS, murder, DUI, overdose, you know, fill in the blank death. Adoption, either being adopted or placing a child up for adoption. Death of a pet, a miscarriage, infertility, um, health issues, moving to a new home, job loss, retirement, mental illness, or cognitive deficit. So those are just some examples of disenfranchised losses, right? So those losses that have, you know, that aren't acknowledged or go unrecognized, right? That we often, many of us have experienced. And you know, this is just a short list, right? We all, there's much longer list. There's a lot of losses that we've all experienced, our own individual losses, disenfranchised losses that we haven't been able to acknowledge and recognize as well. And in reading this, right, you know, for something that comes up as I read too, is just this, when we think about the, again, as always, I like to take it to a bigger picture, right? And bringing historical trauma pieces into this space, and the aspect that, man, the grief that is there is, you know, passed down, that can be passed down, right? So we have, you know, this concept idea of epigenetics, right? And how things are really, you know, can be passed down even in the womb, right? But beyond that, right? But ultimately, you know, again, when we think about our ancestors, our relatives that came before us, and many of them haven't gotten the chance or the opportunity to heal or addressed their losses, address their pain, and how that is then brought up or can be passed down to us, right? So then we are experiencing things again, and we may not know that where it's coming from, right? And you know, it could be another one of those things, again, a disenfranchised loss that an ancestor before has carried, and now it's being brought to the light for us to begin that healing work that is needed to, again, you know, heal the generations that came before us, as well as, you know, the healing that we're doing, bringing this back full circle, is for the um the next generations and those that are coming up after us. So again, you know, this idea of hidden grief and disenfranchised losses, it goes pretty deep in the grand scheme of things, right? But I don't want to, you know, overwhelm us with that, right? Because we can't be perfect. We're not perfect. We are imperfectly perfect. And with that, you know, we can't try to heal everything, you know, as I mentioned earlier, that, you know, it's about really taking what's given to us, taking what's felt, and seeing where that takes us, leaning into it if you're ready to lean into it. But again, you know, this idea of disenfranchised losses and grief, it can again just stem from so many different spaces. And I think it's important just to note that, to think about, reflect on, you know, are there certain things and areas in your life that you weren't given the opportunity to grieve, right? And how that has impacted your interactions with people, your interaction with certain spaces and environments, um, and you know, just taking the time, relatives, to reflect on that. So with that, John, is there what are your thoughts on, you know, just everything I just read, and are there any comments?
Yeah, I do want to read. Avery said, "Hello, guys, from Austin and her."
Oh,
Yeah,
hi.
yeah. Thank you, Avery, for always joining us every Friday.
Yes,
We
hello.
really appreciate that. And I just agree with everything that you just said, Xavier, and
Mhm.
just really talking about, like, you know, not only just your trauma, but intergenerational trauma. I think that's so important to reflect back on that too. And also just being kind to yourself, because I know that sometimes as you begin to start this journey of self reflection and exploration of your trauma, it could be very difficult. And it can also trigger or bring up more stuff than what you were probably expecting when you were on that journey. So just being very gentle with yourself, especially when you're beginning this journey, and just taking it a little bit at a time. And just kind of pace yourself, because it's so important to be aware of, you know, any triggers that may come up, especially during that journey, and just sit with it and work through it before you start moving on to the next one, because otherwise you're going to overwhelm yourself with all of these, you know, hidden grief and all of these hidden stuff that you never really had the time to process before. So just really being patient with that and just chipping at it one step at a time, because we don't want too much to go on and too much thought to go on, because that can cause you to feel really depressed or very anxious, and other things come up once you start reflecting back on what are these hidden griefs. So I think that's so important to remind everyone, just taking it easy and just being kind to yourself, especially when you start exploring these hidden griefs.
Oh, thank you so much, John. Absolutely. Being kind to ourselves is, definitely important. Again, especially as we all navigate our healing journey, we're all at different points, and that's okay. This isn't a race, this isn't a competition. All we can really do is just lean in and support one another in a way that encourages one another to continue to lean into it, right? Because ultimately, we all have what we need within us, truly within us. We have all the knowledge, the wisdom, the answers that we need within us. We have that healing within us. Community activated medicine. Medicine is within each and every one of us, within John, within myself, within Avery, within Austin, right? As you all watch, as within each and every one of you relatives. And as we activate that healing that is within us, that when we come to spaces together, that when we go out into different spaces, that we can really activate that healing within other people. And I think that is just so beautiful, so beautiful. When you think about it on the grand scheme of things, that we can really heal together, and it's amazing, right? That we can experience such wonderfulness together if we truly allow ourselves to lean into it, to be open to it. And again, it can be hard, and that is 100% understandable. 100%. There will be moments in life where you're like, yeah, I'm all about the healing, right? And then something will happen, and you're like, look, no, I can't. I can't do this right now. I don't want to breathe. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to meditate or go for a walk. And relatives, again, that is 100% okay. That is 100% normal. Again, we ride waves of life, and it's about embracing them, riding them out, feeling them through. So if you ever find that you are in moments of, I can't handle whatever's going on, and you find that, yeah, I'm shutting down, or yeah, that, this is what's happening, that it's okay. That you won't be there forever, right? That you've you've allowed yourself to overcome before, so that resiliency will shine through like no other. And I think it's so important just to remember that, going forward. And again, this conversation of hidden grief has just been so beautiful. And there's so much more to it. Again, relatives, I this was just kind of the foundation. This is setting the foundation of what hidden grief is, what it looks like, how it can show up, where it comes from, right? A lot of these different spaces and places. um I'm just so grateful, as always, to share this space and reflect with you all, about just these conversations, and the realness, the rawness of emotions and feelings, because it's not, we tend to, as a society, just really put it on the back burner, or not talk about it, ignore it, right? And again, that's society's, as a society, as a nation, we have our own hidden griefs that we have to heal from. And the work can only be done, right, if we, as individuals, begin to reflect and turn our gaze within. And with that, keep in mind how the work that we're doing is impacting the good of each and every individual that we come in contact with, and how the work that we're doing is allowing us to heal for our ancestors that came before us, and how it is setting the tone for our future generations to live a life that is full of thriving. And I'm so grateful that we have this opportunity again to share, to talk, to be in relationship with one another, to begin that shift that is needed, as a community. So, with that, we'll go through our checkup final words, right? So I'll pass to John for your final words for your checkout.
Thank you so much, Xavier. I was just in the comment section because we do have a new relative who just joined us this evening. I'm not going to butcher her beautiful name. So I'm going to say it's M, and then last name is Caldwell. I believe that's how you pronounce it. She said, "Hi, new here, been with Malia in the mornings," and she said that she needed this right now.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah.
And then Avery, just lovely welcoming our new relative with us this evening, and say always some great conversations here. And then our new relative, M. Caldwell, said, "I'm so angry. There's a gal in our community who just died from a GAB overdose, GAB overdose. And she said ambulance would be at her house every other day. And she said, I hate addiction." Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. And, just sending lots of love and just being, gentle on yourself. Because I know that sometimes when we think about that, we internalize a lot of those, feelings and stuff like that too. So just being very gentle with ourselves. It's so difficult. And we're so glad that you're here with us this evening and sharing that with us. So thank you so much. And then Avery said, "I missed the earlier part, but I love the idea of moving towards a community versus the individualism of the Western philosophy."
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, Avery, for your share, bringing your voice into the space as always, and being welcoming, right, to our new relatives that are here with us, and to uh, M. Caldwell. You know, our condolences, right, to your community and um, neighbor. And again, as John said, right, being able to be kind to yourself, um, take some time out to allow yourself to feel through that anger, right? That anger is you're valid in that anger you're feeling, right? That um, it's tough, right? That again, the curveballs that life throws at us can be difficult to deal with and process. And so give yourself permission to feel, but also give yourself permission to take what you need, right? Take a walk, right? Get some fresh air if you're in an environment for that. Take some deep breaths, grab a drink of water, right? And know that we're so appreciative for you being with us today and being in this community, right? And you now have a space where you can come and be in community with others, right? And sharing some healing and sharing some love. So I just want to say that, and thank you. Thank you all for being here and being with us, walking on this journey with us as always. My final words would, just again, as John even stated, just be kind to yourselves, relative. Know that um healing is a journey, and it's truly a journey, that it's not easy. And to take your time, slow down, enjoy the wonders of the human experience, right? Find time for joy, for laughter. Find time to binge watch a show if you want, right? It's okay every once in a while, right, to scroll through Netflix, see what's there. um it's okay to blast music, sing at the top of your lungs. It's okay to choose joy. And I just wanted to say that as my final words. And with that, Again, if there's anyone out there that is needing support, that is needing love, social emotional support, John did mention our Care's Warm line, and I know that number is in there. And you know, it's there's support and there's care out there. There's people out there that are willing to hold space, that are happy to hold space, and all of us here at Her Wellness are so happy to do so. And we just thank you all again for being with us today. Um, and spending this time with us again. Emotional sobriety will be going live until April 30th, so that'll be our last kind of day, and then we'll take a little hiatus, and we'll come back. Right, it won't be for too long, but again, this is really just a space for us to model what a private emotional sobriety Zoom group would look like, and we are so honored and grateful to hold this space with you all to share in um, our feelings, all the feels, all the vulnerability, leaning into it, and the healing that is taking place as we continue to come together, all nations, one tribe. And with that, we hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. It's supposed to be warm, so I hope this Florida boy over here is hoping for the warmth and the sunshine. And I hope you all are able to get out, enjoy the sun. And with that, we will see you all next week, Friday. See you.
Yeah.